please check the certain questions I am already given. So what is a VPN? That kind of questions also there. Please check it. Check all the questions. Check all the questions I shared. Okay. So all these questions shared and and go through it, find it answers, or we can discuss. Okay. Anything is uncovered, please tell me. If you are past the time, then I can't help you. You have to do from things from your side also. So different components we discuss in a hardware components like a CPU, RAM, ROM, motherboard, hard disk, CD-RAM, and SMPS, which is inside of your cabinet, which is internal to the cabinet. So this is the cabinet, and outside connections we are connecting keyboard, mouse, monitors, printers, scanners, mics, card readers, Bluetooth devices, external hard disk, or joysticks like that. Of course, touchpads or touchscreen on monitor part, a different part. Okay, so thumb impression, all are separate parts. Webcams also separate part. Webcams we're connecting, right? Okay. So these are the major components. What is the use of SMPS? Simply quickly say SMPS converts your main power supply, which is AC power supply, to DC power supply, different DC voltages, plus 12 volts, minus 12 volts, plus 5 volts, minus 5 volts, okay, plus 3.3 volts, like a different voltages we are getting to our, we are connecting to our motherboard, okay, to give the power supply to hard disk, okay, or a CD-RAM or a DVD or a floppy disk if it is there, not available nowadays, but okay, the power supply from main power supply, home socket power supply to computer goes to the SMPS. SMPS convert that AC power supply to the different volt DC voltages. Okay. So what happened? The power supply goes to your motherboard. The devices connected to the motherboard, on motherboard, printed on motherboard, like a the chipsets, like a LAN card chipset or a audio chipset, video chipset. Okay, north bridge, south bridge, your BIOS chip. Okay, your CPU, your RAMs are getting power supply from motherboard because SMPS is connected to motherboard, and motherboard is also connected to back panel is there, front panel is also there. There is a back panel and the front panel is also there. So front panel means there is a power button, USB, headphones connections, right? That is a your motherboard front panel. Sorry, cabinet front panel connection, which is connected from the motherboard only. Your CPU is on motherboard, RAM is on motherboard. Okay, of course, ROM is directly on your motherboard only. Hard disk is connected to motherboard. Hard disk data cable is connected to motherboard. CD-RAM data cable is connected to motherboard, but power supply from SMPS. Okay, so this is the how the connection is there. Try to imagine. If you don't get an imagination, try to look at any video that is how devices, how a basic computer will assembling and deassembling of a computer. So then you will understand how the components are connected. We have seen how CPUs look like, and what are the things we will check it from the computer. CPU. What is the processor? Is it 32-bit processor or 64-bit processor? What is the speed of processor? How much cache memory, number of cores, number of threads, virtualization technologies there are not. Okay, the compatible RAM memory, we will see it. Okay, the RAM compatibilities. Okay, next RAM and ROM we have discussed. RAM is a loose part, means we can insert a RAM and we can remove the RAM. But ROM is not like that. ROM is built on a motherboard. Okay, of course we can certain ROMs we can able to remove from the motherboard. That is the earlier possibilities are there, but it is still in generally we don't change your ROM chip. The ROM chip is also called as a BIOS chip, and it is a non-volatile memory. So once the data is there, data never out when a power supply gone. But still, this BIOS having certain settings, BIOS having a certain settings like a date and time, passwords, enable, disable certain options are there. That is a temporary. That is a temporary things. Okay, so this BIOS battery will support. This BIOS battery support. It is a 3 volts lithium battery. It is a 3 volts lithium battery. 3 volts lithium battery which supports our BIOS chip. The voltage support for our BIOS chip. So the BIOS, what are the settings you have made it? What are the BIOS password you are given? What are the configuration you are changed? To keep those information like that only, to keep running your date and time, to keep the password like that only. Okay, to keep the settings continuously. So this battery will support for that voltages. The 3 volts is enough battery from battery. Okay. So that's why this battery we call it as a BIOS battery or CMOS battery. So some people think this battery is made up of CMOS technology. So that's it is a when we say CMOS battery without any explanation, this is a CMOS battery, and CMOS means complementary metal oxide semiconductor. Lot of people think it is a CMOS battery. Sorry, of course, it is a CMOS battery, but it is made up of CMOS technology, which is complementary metal oxide semiconductor. Guys, this is a MOSFET. 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 Actually, this word came from the MOSFET. FET means field effective transistor. Complementary, no, not complementary, metal oxide semiconductor field effective transistor. So this word is belongs to the transistor, not belongs to any batteries. Battery is made up of lithium, but this word is transistor word. What is a C? C means in a MOSFETs there is a two types, PMOS, NMOS. The combination of PMOS, NMOS become a CMOS. PMOS, NMOS, P channel MOS, N channel MOS is there. So combination of P channel, N channel become one single gate. So that is a CMOS, single unit, like a one single unit, single gate, like that it is CMOS. The multiple combination of CMOS kind of stuff will create a lot of logical gate formation. So our BIOS, our RAM, our processors are made up of CMOS technology. So this battery voltage levels are supporting for CMOS voltage levels. Okay, so it is enough for a CMOS chip running. Okay, some chips are required 5 volts, some are required 12 volts, like that. But this is enough with 3 volts the current rating, and so CMOS. That's why this battery we call it as a CMOS battery. But the technology is not, battery technology is not okay. Battery technology is not a CMOS technology. CMOS technology is a chip technology. Your RAM, your processor, your ROM is made up of CMOS technology. Okay. So this battery we call it as a CMOS battery or BIOS battery. Okay. So why? Because it's a BIOS. In the BIOS there is a few temporary things are there. Your date and time, BIOS passwords, settings, configurations are temporary. To keep the data alive, even though you shut down your computer, this battery will support for that one. Okay, anything we miss, this bit processing will come back, but I want to tell about. So this is the BIOS. BIOS is nothing but a firmware which helps at a boot time, which recognize the devices you are connected in the computer, which recognize the devices you connected in the computer, like you connected a CPU, you connected RAM, you connected a hard disk, you connected CD-ROM, okay, you connected a pen drive, you connected anything. So So BIOS will help to start your computer. BIOS recognize the devices on computer. Okay, internal the connectivity. You can change the CPU. You can put the CPU. You can remove the CPU. You can put another CPU. But system should recognize what it is, right? So your BIOS will recognize. Okay, devices. Okay, so that is the second one. It recognizes hardware devices. Okay, it help boot up your system, help to load the operating system, locate and loads the operating system. So BIOS is nothing but a firmware. Okay, this BIOS updated version, when if you purchase any new computers, new laptops, you are getting UEFI, extensible firmware interface. That is the updated version. Of course, BIOS is nothing but your ROM chip, ROM chip. Okay. Next is, again, we'll go back to the RAM. So RAM is a main memory. Without a RAM, you cannot work with your computer. Without a CPU, you cannot work with your computer. Without a BIOS, no computer works. If you don't put a hard disk, still you can able to work with the computer. Only thing is hard disk is not there. Okay, it is not mandatory always. Of course, hard disk store operating system. What is the use of use of hard disk or SSDs? To store operating system. Primarily, operating system is the larger the size. To store the operating system, we need a hard disk. Okay, we need a hard disk. But RAM, to load anything, what are the instructions or data, either from the hard disk or a CD-RAM or from your keyboard or to monitor. Okay, so your RAM will load the information and data from there and to them also. It is like this. Your RAM is a main communication device to your CPU. So that's the RAM is very important. So I/O controllers understand the device status, device locations, okay, and device interruptions, and it load the data from and give it to your RAM. RAM understand and RAM loads and give it to your CPU. You know, some people try to ask me like, sir, how it is possible kind of stuff. So how RAM will work? That is one day, one batch guy, one single batch, the guy got this question, how RAM works. So RAM is simply works like this, guys. This is the well, okay, or a one tub, big tub, water tub, or a well. Well is best, or a sump. And this is another something water tub or a bucket or anything you can. So one big container. Okay, this is something like some container. So like this. This is not exactly a part. Okay. So what I have done, I have a small bucket. I have a bucket. What I have done, I fetch the water into this bucket. I'm fetching water into this bucket and I'm pouring here. Okay. In generally, what is a RAM? RAM is a volatile memory. When power is off, data gone from the RAM. To even though even a power is there, data won't be there in a RAM for a permanently. Why? Because RAM is works like this. It fetch the information or a data or instructions from I/O devices through I/O controller and give it to your processor. Once it is given, it is removed from here. It is removed from here. So it will keep giving. And CPU process it. CPU process it and give it to your RAM again. And RAM again, it will put it into your I/O controllers. So it is used like a fetching device type on. Either it is fetched from I/O controllers. It will fetch from I/O devices through IO controllers and give it to CPU. Again, it will fetch from CPU and give it to IO controller. So your RAM is nothing but a floating kind of stuff. It floats always. Data floats through the RAM. Okay, and there is a cache. Cache is nothing but a SRAM. The larger the cache, three caches are there: L1, L2, L3 caches. The L3 cache is actually we are putting more on. Whatever it is, the cache memory help you to speed up the data loading, and it engages your CPU. It matches the CPU speed also. So the data loading speed will match to the CPU speed. So cache speed, CPU speed will be same. RAM speed is lesser than CPU speed. Okay. So this is the use of RAM and a CPU. CPU is a main central processing unit. That is also very important device. Okay. So compulsory devices. These are all we are already discussed. That's why I'm not telling more. So important again. Here it is. What is CPU? What is the difference between RAM and ROM? Okay. And other things also important. So finally, this is how to go to BIOS setting. Already I explained, guys. There is a BIOS key. So check your laptop company. Go to Google, find it. Like I'm using HP some model, and what is my BIOS key? So then there it will be give one or two options. So power off your system and try to go to BIOS settings. Just try. If it is not possible, then there are a lot of ways to go to BIOS settings. Depends upon the laptop operating system and BIOS version. Okay, not only BIOS key, guys. Without BIOS key also you can go in a different ways. Okay, so just you can try later. At least watch some videos how to go to BIOS settings. Yeah, this is a motherboard. Already I told different components on your motherboard: power supply connection, RAM connections. Okay, back panel connection. Okay, so SMPS connections also. So this is the secondary voltage. Okay, yeah, this is the hard disk, operating system, disk partition kind of stuff. Yeah, just this is a like a revision type only. Okay, this is the PC hardware, but somewhere I have given this entire information. Yeah, one second. Yeah, one more some point I have to include. That's why I'm telling all these things. This is the hard disk, guys. Okay, of course storage part is also here, so that's the only names are and some definitions, and there is a file system. So we'll see. This is a hard disk. I think already I told about hard disk. Hard disk, the internal parts like a plotters, these things are there, but there is a logic board. Okay, you can see this is the circuit board you can see outside. That is called a logic board. The logic board has a data connectivity. So for a older days, we have a IDE or a PATA type of connectivity. 40 pin connector is there. Next, it's a SATA connectivity came, that is 7-pin connector. Is this one. Uh, this is data connector. This is power connector. This is power connector. This side, this is the power connector. Okay. So here one more point, not additional point. It's important point. So what is the purpose of hard disk? To store data. Hard disk is a secondary memory storage, right? Hard disk is a secondary memory storage. So in a hard disk, what is the main purpose is to store operating system, right? You start your computer, operating system must be loaded. Okay, so then where to store operating system? Better way to store in a hard disk only. better to store in a hard disk only, right? So you have a hard disk in your computer. While you are installing operating system, what you will do, we'll create a partition and then we store operating system in it. In generally, you buy a laptop from the shop, so they take the C drive entirely, or they will create a small D drive, a small D drive, end of the drive, like they will create a small D drive. They'll put some information additionally. Okay, maximum C and D are only C. Okay, so in generally our Windows operating system stores in C drive. Not all operating system, Windows operating system having a C drive, D drive kind of concept. C drive contain OS. How? Because of that's technology from starting of computers. A drive, B drive are given for a floppy disk. Earlier days, hard disk cost is very high. Okay, and it is very bigger. Okay, it is bigger and it is costly and it is difficult to purchase, and also most of the time they load OS with a floppy disk. So DOS operating system kind of stuff. So this A drive is given for a floppy disk. Guys, sir send a message to you guys. Please check it. Give answer to him. Okay. So you want to attend an afternoon or tell him. So Ravan sir. Okay, no. You guys are given message to sir. Okay, no problem. Yes, I will finish. Okay. So these are given for a floppy disk. So this is your hard disk first partition. The next partition is a D drive. I like that examples. E drive, for example, right? So a hard disk having a multiple partition. One is guarantee given for operating system and other for a data for music files or video files or class materials, virtual machines. Will created multiple partition. This hard disk contains a small starter point is there, and a small track is there in a starting, so that we cannot able to see it. Okay, so a small record will be created at starting of the hard disk only. We can't see that one directly. So that record we call it as a MBR. MBR record or GPT record. Because so you connect a hard disk, fresh hard disk, you purchase a fresh hard disk, you connect a hard disk, you have to initiate either it is a MBR or a GPT. You have to initiate either it is MBR or a GPT. Okay, so that is a second point. So you have a hard disk. The hard disk we can do partitions. So of course, hard disk used for store the operating system and data. Okay. So when you connect a fresh hard disk, you have to tell the hard disk is MBR type or GPT type. So MBR means master boot record. MBR means master boot record. GPT means GUID partition table. Okay. So olden days we are using a BIOS that time. If you are using a BIOS, carefully listen guys, your home is BIOS. You are using BIOS. And you insert a hard disk and install an operating system without initiating. Okay, your hard disk type is become MBR type. Hard disk is MBR type. So you want to see my disk management disk mgmt.msc. Okay, let's say compulsory go through that PPT I shared. All PPTs go and note down. So, okay, see, this is my disk 0. You can see convert into MBR means it is a GPT disk. If you see disk 1, I have 2 hard disks. It shows convert into GPT because it is a convert in it's a MBR disk. Okay, I have 2 hard disks. Don't worry, I added it like that. Okay, so the MBR and GPT means that whenever you connect a new hard disk, so it will ask you to initialize as a MBR or GPT. Okay, if you are using your motherboard is your ROM is a BIOS, your firmware is a BIOS. Okay, by default, your hard disk, the fresh hard disk, when you are installing operating system, that time it will initialize as a MBR disk. If you are using UEFI, Unified Firmware Interface, Unified Extensible Firmware Interface, your firmware is UEFI, okay, and you are trying to install an operating system based on operating system. There is a based on operating system like you are installing Windows 8 or Windows 10 or a 2012 server or a 2016 server or 2019 server. Okay, so if you are installing an operating system or a Linux, enterprise Linux 7, 8, like that. Okay, automatically. So it is also belongs to operating system and 32-bit 64 kind of stuff, UEFI and operating system. So your hard disk is initialized as a GPT. When you are installing operating system, you have a fresh hard disk. Hard disk does not contain any partitions earlier. Fresh, nothing, nothing information on the hard disk. It's just a hard disk only. Okay, and you are trying to install operating system. Okay, your firmware is BIOS, so hard disk initialized as a MBR. Okay, your firmware is UEFI. Your firmware is UEFI, and you are installing an operating system that is also UEFI based operating system. Automatically, your hard disk is GPT. Otherwise, it will become MBR. Two things. One is when you are attaching new fresh hard disk. When you are attaching new fresh hard disk, okay, when you are try to attach a new fresh hard disk, okay, so it will ask you do you want it's a MBR disk or a GPT disk. It will ask you, is it a MBR disk or a GPT disk? Okay, which one you want to choose? Or while you are installing an operating system, you got a fresh computer or a laptop, you want to install a operating system. Okay, hard disk does not contain any partition kind of stuff. Okay, it's a fresh hard disk. So your firmware is BIOS, then it is MBR hard disk, MBR type, or if it is a UEFI, it is a GPT type. But what is the difference between MBR and GPT? So we'll see that one. Guys, are you able to understand or not able to understand anything? Oh, lot of people gone also. There is only 5 members. That's why I asked. If it is a MBR type, okay, we can create a maximum 4 primary partitions. Okay, there is a primary and extended partitions. So 4 primary, it means, for example, this is a 500 GB hard disk. I have a 500 GB hard disk. I created a partition, first partition, it's a Peter. Even it is Linux or a Windows operating system, Linux or Windows, rules are rules only. MBR type or GPT type. So it is a first partition, it's a primary. I am giving this one as a 50 GB. This is also a 50 GB, a primary partition. Next time I'm creating a 100 GB primary partition. Now how much completed? 200 GB completed. Next I'm giving another 50 GB, like a 250 GB completed. 4 primaries are completed. And what about this part? This is, we cannot do anything. It's not even unallocated or anything. We cannot create any partitions in this remaining part. So almost like it is a 250 GB left over. Okay, so that is because of it is a MBR. Because of it is a MBR. So what we have to do it for primary or maximum. So you have to adjust according to it. Like I give this is the 100 GB, 100 GB, 200 GB. That is 400 completed, 100 GB or 150, 150 in middle. You can do it like a 150, 150. For C, 100 is enough. I put 100. This is 150. This is also, for example, 150. Then it is 400 completed. Remaining 100, we will keep it in last. Or it's your wish. Like you can make it just a 200 and make the remaining 100 completely your wish. But point is that is anywhere not happening nowadays from Windows Vista onwards. So why? Because of whenever you complete first 3 primary partitions, 3 primary are completed, then fourth one become automatically a extended partition. Extended partition. What is this extended partition? Okay, this entire extended partition means this is the around 200, so remaining 300 is the extended partition. This entire 300 is extended partition. What we can able to in this one, you can create a logical drives. You can create a logical drives like this is 50 GB, this is 20 GB, this is 10 GB, this is another 20 GB. Like this, you can create a number of logical partitions as per your requirement. It means 3 primary completed. The next one is very simple, one single extended partition. In this extended, you can create a logical drives or logical partitions. Okay. So MBR means either 4 primary partition or 3 primary, 1 extended. You can create it in 1 extended. You can create a logical partitions. You can create a logical partition. This is because of MBR. One more is there. How much maximum size of the partition is? Maximum partition size is 2 terabyte. Maximum partition size is up to 2 terabyte. Up to 2 terabyte. That is a MBR type. Already I showed mine, right? So that's my hard disk. If you look at this is disk 1 is a MBR type because it is showing convert into GPT. It is a MBR type. How many primary partitions are there? Only 3. This totally 1 terabyte of disk. I divided into only 3. Even only 3 also it is completely full. See, it is my H drive. You see, it's out of 500, 531 GB, 50 GB free. Even that is also completed. I deleted some virtual machines. I'll put a virtual machines here, so it will do like that. Okay, this is my 200 GB. Out of 200, 20 GB is there. Okay, and this is GEE. This is still having a 77 GB out of 200. This is my C drive. Out of 200, it is only 13.9 GB. Okay. So this is F drive and this is D drive. D drive is very small drive, 25 GB. Okay. C, D, F, one hard disk. G, H, E, one hard disk. Okay. This is one hard disk. This is one hard disk. So 13.23 is taken for a recovery partition and basic data partition, F drive, basic data partition, unallocated, recovery partition. Okay, boot pages, crash, dumps, basic data partition, OEM partition, UEFI system partition, recovery partition. So how many recovery partitions are created? And so many partitions are created. You can see this is the blue color. Blue color represent primary partition, right? These are all primary partitions. More than 3 partitions or more than 4 is also there. Why? Because this is a GPT. Convert into MBR means this is a GPT, more partitions. This is MBR. So I can create more partitions, but that is become what I said, extended partition. So I will try to show you that one. A small partition I will create, so like a 20 GB partition, 20480, 20 GB. See this. First one, 1, 2, 3. Primary, 3 primary completed. So I have a small unallocated partition. I'm creating a new partition, 20 GB or 10 GB. Out of this, I will create a 10 GB. See, here it is, I drive is created. Okay. So the 10 GB free space, this is iDrive is created, but can you see here it is, there is some border. This border is not shown here, but can you see this green color border? The thick color green color border is extended partition. Extended partition. The light color one, this one is free space. This is free space. This is extended. The light blue, logical drive, and in bracket also logical drive. See, first partition, second, third. Third is finished. The fourth one is entirely, this part become extended partition. Inside extended partition, there is a logical drives. Okay, so this is a very simple way to explain MBR, because this is MBR 1, 2, 3, 4. If it is a GPT, so I can create direct partitions directly. So what I'm going to do is I'm deleting this I drive. So it is an extended partition. Delete the drive. Now I want to combine this 20 GB back to this H drive by extend the volume. I combined it. Okay. Yeah, if you don't get it, please check the previous video, because a lot of people are missing again. Okay, see it is when I see there is an 8-9 members are there, now it is only 5 members. So that much time can't put it. Guys, next one is GPT. What is GPT? GUID partition table. Here 128 primaries we can create it. So without any extended, we don't require any extended kind of stuff. we can create a more than 4 means up to 128 partitions we can able to create it. 128 partitions we can able to create it. No extended, no logical drives are there. Next, the partition size. The single partition size is more than 2 terabyte. You can take up to 2 terabyte and more than 2 terabyte of size, and exactly say up to 18 EB. The size is up to 18 EB. Okay, so this every hard disk, either it is can be a MBR type or a GPT type. MBR type, okay, hard disk can have only 3 primary partitions. The fourth one become extended. In extended, we can create a logical partitions. Okay, logical drives. In a GPT, we can create a 128 primary partitions, more than 2 terabyte of of a partition size, more than 2 terabyte of a uh, up to 2 terabyte in MBR. Okay, maximum 2 terabyte, not more than 2 terabyte of partition size. But here it is, it can be up to 2 terabyte and more than 2 terabyte and maximum 18 EB. 18 EB is when you check in Google from different websites. It shows different ways, including I have a one different kind of stuff that is a 9.2 zettabyte. Even that is also correct or wrong, we don't know, guys. Okay, just like your WhatsApp media type, so a lot of it correct or wrong informations are available. So point is, I have seen 18 EB from some standard textbooks. Example, Red Hat Enterprise Linux. Okay, Oracle Red Hat. So Red Hat textbooks, Red Hat Academy textbooks, not some materials. Okay, Red Hat textbooks and Microsoft server related textbooks. I've seen this 18 EB per partition. Okay, single partition max size is 18 EB kind of stuff. Okay, that's why I'm telling standard. So this is your MBR and GPT. Same thing is explained here. The problem is the drawing points. I'm not done. Okay, the drawing things are not completely done. So this is primary. Okay, this is the primary. Because I copied these things from regular PPTs. This is called a extension. Extension. In this one, we can draw logical drives. We can create a logical drives. And this is GPT part. What is meaning of GPT? GUID partition table. Very good, very good. When today class get over? Yeah, tell me any point. Please tell me that I have to change. I have to do according to that one. Okay. Is it your personal or your version test or anything? Based on that, we will change it, or we can cancel it. No problem at all. Okay. This is how to create a. See, it is new partition initial disk. I created a one virtual hard disk. When I attach this hard disk, it is showing initialize the disk. Initialize is the disk, either MBR or a GPT. Okay, so that point it is only for members and new message. You have to go to hospital, then when you want to go, just put a message. Okay, any urgency is there, then you can go, or if you have a time, then you can wait. Okay, so it's completely up to you. It's not a group part, right? So it is very good. Okay, so like that. Okay, guys, this is about your partition. Understand, guys, MBR and GPT. Okay, Ankush is trying to speak something, but only noise is coming, not voice. Mic problem, maybe it is. Okay, so this is MBR and GPT. Only one small part I will give, I will tell, and I will take a break. Okay, that is about your file system. Look at, guys, this is the NTFS and FAT32. Okay, for example, I created a partition. Okay, I created a partition. For example, this is the 50 GB partition I created. Now, you cannot put a data in it. Just we created a partition. So even though you cannot put a data in it. Why you cannot put a data? Because you are not defined any file system. Okay, what is this file system? File system will tell you how to store the data. File system will tell you how to store the data, how to arrange the data in a particular pattern. For example, in your home, in generally in a home or a room, take a room, you have a 1 or 2 chairs. So you don't require a heavy planning to arrange the chair, right? So wherever the free is there they will put it. So I have I stay in the home that is nothing but a room only. It's a bachelor room only, but I stay single, so that's why no problem in it. Okay, I put my chair where the space is available. There only I put my chair. According to it, I will arrange entire home. Okay, for example, you went to a small party, or maybe some occasion or marriage, or in some event. There is also chairs, right? So in a room we have 1 or 2 chairs, but there it is having a 10, 20 chairs, 30 chairs, maybe 100 chairs are there. They will arrange in the pattern, right? So they will not arranging in a different like a distance. Okay, depends upon requirement. They will arrange in the ones like this. What is the difference between this arrangement and this arrangement? This is having more gaps. This is having more gaps. The gap more, then automatically it cannot fit any other things. Obviously, it is take more space, less occupancy. It is a more space, taking more space, less occupancy. But if you see, this is more occupancy. More occupancy. This is less occupancy. More gaps. For example, see, you can't fit anything in these small areas. Okay. So like that, it is divided. So how can we understand actually? So file system will create a format. Will tell a format. The file system will tell a format. Okay. So for example, you take a NTFS file system. So it is a 4K format. 4K format means it is a 4K block. You can put a data into here up to 4K only. In single block, you can put a data up to 4K only. Why the 4K? What is the advantage of 4K is it reduces the wastage. For example, I have a 10K data is there. So how many blocks I need? 4K, 4K, one block, another block, and it is a 2K means another 4K block. Okay, 3 blocks are required to put a 10K file. And you take an example, FAT. FAT is another file system. It take in some FATs, there is FAT versions are there. Some 8K to 32K unit size is there. Meaning is, so total how much M? 4 plus 4 plus 4. Total I used is a 12K total block size for a 10K file. Same 10K I'm taking. First is 8K, good. Next is 2K data. So I have to take another 8K block for 2K. So 8 plus 8, 16K I'm using. Almost 6K is wasted. Here only 2K is wasted. Only 2K is wasted. Okay. So what is the file system? File system will define how to store the data, how to arrange the data in a pattern. In Windows, we have a mainly 2 file system. One is FAT, another one is a NTFS. FAT and NTFS. FAT support, the last version of FAT is FAT32. FAT32 support up to 32 GB partition. 32 GB partition. NTFS support up to 2 terabytes and more than 2 terabytes. Generally, why it is because Windows XP time you check the any old data, it shows up to 2 terabytes only. But new versions are there like a Windows 10 kind of stuff. It is more than 2 terabyte. In this also it is providing certain features called as security, encryption, compression, quota, and indexing. So there is a comparison. You can see here it is. This is NTFS. This is FAT. Here it is a compression is there. Here is a compression kind of stuff. Option is not there. Indexing, indexed in. So you can see second one. Index is not there. Here it is a security. You cannot see the security here. Quota here. Quota is not here. So that is the main differences. Encryption is different place, but point is that one. So like this, the future wise differences. EXFAT. Nowadays we are using memory cards, pen drives. Earlier days, pen drive to purchase a 2 terabyte of pen drive, it is around 600 rupees, 800 rupees like that. 2 terabyte. Okay. So not 2 terabyte, sorry, 2 GB pen drive, not 2 terabyte, 2 GB pen drive. 1 GB pen drive is also very costly. 2 GB pen drive, 4 GB pen drives, 8 GB pen drives. So like that, the pen drive size increasing, right? Now memory cards also. Earlier days, it's like a 256 MB, like a 1 GB memory card, 2 GB memory card, 4 GB memory card. So very small memory cards. Now 64 GB memory card, 32 GB memory card. Okay, 128 GB memory card, 256. Latest is 2 terabyte of memory cards and pen drives also available. But usually the memory cards use fat file system because we are using memory card for a different operating systems, right? Pen drives also you use for a different operating system. By default, it is a fat file system. Okay, so what we have to do? It won't support those certain devices don't support NTFS. So what we have to do? We are using fat on it. But more than 32 GB, fat won't support. Then new thing is came that is called exFAT. If you have a memory card more than 32 GB, like a 64 GB or 128 GB, memory card is there. You can check it. It is formatted with a exFAT. Then format does not mean removing a data. Format means defining the file system. Defining the file system. Next one is REFS, resilient file system. You put a data into the certain centralized storages. People access the data. People read the data. People write the data. People modify the data. So because of this kind of stuff, what happened? Data may corrupt. What happened? Data may corrupt. To prevent the corruption, we use CRC, and that type of file system is REFS. Okay, so REFS, resilient file system. So you store a data into resilient file system. So your data is more protective than storing into other file systems. If you are using Linux or Unix, your file systems are ext2, ext3, ext4 kind of stuff. ext4 is the latest one. XFS file system. Through network shares, you share the data through network and through Linux or Windows. That's a different network file systems are there. NFS, network file system, CAFS, common internet file system, or SMB, server message block. So there is another file systems are there like a UDF, universal disk format, compact disk formats, different file systems are there. Small difference between FAT and NTFS. So FAT is generally used in olden days. Now it is less. FAT means file allocation table. NTFS, new technology file system. NTFS having a certain features. First one is it support more than 2 terabyte of disk partition size. NTFS give security, encryption, compression, quota, and indexing. Okay, that is the main kind of stuff. MBR, GPT, partition, and formats. That's the part we are completed up to now. Okay. Now, guys, take a 10 minutes break or 15 minutes break. Okay, so then we'll continue this. I want compulsory to note you the boot processing part. Okay, so take a 10 minutes break. 12 minutes break otherwise, like 12:05. Okay, have something, be back. We'll continue boot processing and other troubleshooting, hardware related things only we'll discuss today. Tomorrow we'll see any other topic.